Today, the RBA is to check on Australia's gold. Well, sort of. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics Work. That is post covering finance and property news with a distinctively Australian flavour. A senior Reserve Bank official is about to jet off on an all-expense, taxpayer-funded trip to London to check that Australia's 80 tonnes of gold bullion is still in the Bank of England's vaults. News of the impending departure was made during Senate estimates on Wednesday night and comes after a campaign by LNP Senator Gerard Rennick, who has long held concerns that Australia is being dudded and the nation's gold holdings are not where they should be.
I'm contacted by a lot of constituents who are very angry at his remarks when I asked him about the missing gold bars and the gold bars that Australia holds at the Bank of England, where he mentioned that the gold bars flake off. And I've been told by a number of people that that is categorically false. Gold bars do not flake. And I would ask that, unlike your predecessor who didn't seem to take our gold holdings in London seriously, despite the fact the Bank of England has admitted to the Reserve Bank that there are fake gold bars and duplicate serial numbers there, that the RBA could investigate our gold holdings at the Bank of England.
Chris, would you like to comment?
Yeah, look, I can't comment on this question of the gold bars flaking, but I can emphasise the importance we place on a proper audit of our gold holdings. And indeed, I was speaking very recently and been working closely with our audit team. One of our senior auditors is about to hop on a plane to head to London to do a very thorough audit. She'll be accompanied with the most senior person we have who manages and oversees our office in London. And that will take place in the coming weeks and will be a very thorough audit process.
Will that be stocked with counting all the gold or just 10% of it?
Something in that order, which is similar to what we've done in the past and at the upper end of what others who also audit their gold holdings at the Bank of England do. It's quite an intensive process. It's quite well considered in terms of selecting the gold bars. We're the ones that choose the gold bars, including once we arrive on site, telling the Bank of England which gold bars we want to look at very closely, including going in to look at some of the gold bars that are in their vaults directly, without telling them the details ahead of time.
And will the findings be completely transparent? Because I note that the Freedom of Information on the 2013 audit withheld information because it would damage relations with the Bank of England.
Well, I would note the comments of the former Deputy Governor, Guy Debelle, and I think what he said is we would endeavour to provide transparency here along the dimensions we can, recognising that there are certain aspects of that which we can't reveal, so as to not threaten the security of those gold bars and the Bank of England's arrangements. So we will attempt to do that with this audit in the fullness of time.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Senator Rennick's concerns stem from a strictly confidential RBA memo supplied to Parliament, which states that the existence of fake gold bars has been detected in the past by the presence of duplicate serial numbers. The Bank of England holds about 6,400 bars on behalf of the RBA, worth about $6 billion. They sit alongside another 400,000 bars in special vaults used for centuries. Former RBA Deputy Governor Guy Debelle had little time for Senator Rennick's concerns, which were often the source of tetchy exchanges. But following Debelle's recent departure, Assistant Governor Chris Kent said he'd been working closely with the bank's audit team, which was taking the matter of a gold audit very seriously. The RBA physically audits its London gold holdings about every 6 years, although the amount of gold has not changed since 1997, when the bank stealthily dumped about 2/3 of its gold reserves. Senator Rennick has not been pacified. He's unhappy that the audit will not cover the whole of the RBA's holdings. The 10% portion will be chosen by the RBA and unknown to the Bank of England until the day. Why not count all of it? Or better still, bring it back to Australia. The Bank of England can't be trusted given these admissions, he told the Australian Financial Review. Dr. Kent said auditing 10% of the holdings was similar to what had been done in the past and at the upper end of what other central banks looked at. It's quite an intense process and it's quite a considered process, he said. We're the ones who choose the gold bars, including once we arrive on site, telling the Bank of England which gold bars we want to look at very closely, and going to look at some gold bars in their vaults directly. And the RBA also profits from lending out of its gold holdings. In 2021, the bank generated $1.3 million, and at the end of the financial year, about 6 tonnes of RBA gold was on loan, according to its most recent annual report. So kudos to Gerard Rennick for getting this underway. And I would just remind you that John Adams and myself were talking about this over the last 2 or 3 years. The point is that the audit, as outlined, is really hardly an audit. It's not looking at the whole of the holding, it's looking at a proportion. And the question, of course, will be whether, in fact, all of the bars are where they should be. That is, of course, the big question, because we do know that gold bars sometimes get reallocated and shuffled around. And in the current environment, maybe the risks are even higher. So there is still a question as to why on earth we keep our gold in London and not down here in Australia, where we can really take hold of it and look at it. That, for me, is the right solution to dealing with the gold audit. Bring it back home. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.